Welcome back to the Best of Pest Marketing podcast. Today's episode is all about Google Ads, an overview of Google's AI Max transition coming up here in a few weeks, and how to prepare your pest control ads for that big shift. We will also be covering and talking about 3 things to consider when structuring and optimizing your Google Ads campaigns. So here to share all of his knowledge with us, I'm excited to introduce to you Johnathan Cleghorn.
Hey Kelly, it's so good to be on here and talk. I'm excited to get into everything Google.
I am too. I'm excited for you to share everything with us. Just to tell you guys a little bit more about Johnathan, he has been working with home services and their Google Ads for over 5 years, and he leads our search team at Rock City Digital. So welcome to the show. Excited to kick us off. Johnathan, tell us, what do you like to do in your free time?
Well, I love to hang out with my wife, number one. I've got to say that. But it's true. Her name's Mackenzie. She's an amazing art director and designer. So we're both kind of in the marketing world, which is really fun. Love to play music too on the side. And then, ironically enough, which might be too nerdy, but on the side, I also do like to research this kind of stuff for fun. I'm always kind of going in there on different forums like Reddit or LinkedIn, looking at all the SEO and SEM news, because in this business and in this industry, you do kind of have to stay up pretty regularly. So in my free time, I'm still kind of doing this on the side as well, just constantly searching.
Yeah, I would say that this is definitely a part of marketing that changes so frequently when it comes to paid search, especially. So Johnathan leads our organic search team. He also leads our paid search team. Both of those things have had huge transitions and huge updates in the last 5 years, especially. But even in the last year, we've seen a huge shift with Google's AI overview. SEO looks different today than it did 5 years ago. So what we'll be talking about today is the next shift coming with Google and how they are moving into a direction with AI that really business owners cannot and should not ignore when it comes to paid search. So we'll get into all of that today. Let's get started. Johnathan, today we're talking about Google's AI Max transition. Can you tell me what that means? What does this mean? What's coming up? What should we know about this new change with Google Ads?
Yeah, so AI Max is a new campaign type that is coming to Google Ads very soon, and actually it's coming in September. Google has been testing this out for about 9 months or so since the 2025 Google Marketing Live. And essentially what it's going to do is it's going to start crawling your landing pages and website to get all of your headlines, descriptions, and search themes from whatever your website copy is talking about. So gone are going to be the days of exact match, broad match, phrase match, keywords, and Google is kind of leaning more into AI. So if you're searching something a little bit more niche and your website talks about it, your campaign, the ad that will actually show up, is going to be getting all of that information and copy from your actual website and landing page. Businesses should start migrating now, in my opinion, and I actually have 3 ways that I think that you can go ahead and start getting ready and preparing for this. So number 1 is to make sure that your messaging is consistent across the board when it comes to your website and your social profiles, your directory listings. You want to make sure that your name, your business name, address, phone number, website, all of that is consistent across the board, because it's going to matter a whole lot more here coming up in the future. And then also number 2 is audit your landing pages. Make sure that they're filled with enough content and context to where if you just let an AI bot like AI Max crawl your web page, make sure that it has all of the right information. Pricing is transparent, messaging is transparent and consistent across the board. And then number 3, of course, is this going ahead and making the switch early. I don't think there's going to be any sort of disadvantage to switching whenever the deadline comes, but I do think there would be an advantage to going ahead and switching early. That way you can start testing out this new campaign type and making sure that it is aligned with your business goals and needs.
Yeah, so it sounds like if you have had these campaigns running that are a little bit more set it and forget it, it's been built for you, or maybe you have an agency who's not super hands-on or proactive, there's going to be a huge wake-up call. It's going to be a pretty big shift when all of these ads move from this dynamic search to AI Max, right?
Yeah, so it is going to be a lot more important to keep an eye on your campaigns and keep an eye on your search terms report, because one thing that I've seen when testing out AI Max, because this feature was given to a lot of agencies to kind of beta test about 9 months ago. And so one thing that I was seeing was tons of search terms coming in that weren't related at all to the type of campaign that we were wanting to run and get our ads showing up for certain searches. So for example, like DIY pest control searches were starting to pop up. How to do pest control yourself, or like pest control careers. And that's just because of the broadness that is AI, and kind of why a lot of us marketers are a little worried about this new campaign type. But we're keeping an eye on it, and really you need to be proactive when it comes to your campaigns, especially when this switch happens, because you might start to pull in and see some search terms that don't relate to your business, and you're going to need to go in there honestly daily to negate some of those bad keywords. So there's really not going to be a place for agencies or pest control businesses to just kind of set up a Google Ads campaign and set it, forget it, look at it maybe once a month. Really, you're going to have to be in there and looking at it more proactively to make sure that it is aligned with your brand and your messaging.
Yeah, we've talked internally about how important it is to have SEO a part of this strategy, that just a website and just Google Ads may not be enough to get you the results that you want. We are recommending that people have some sort of solid SEO strategy to run in tandem with this, so that we can expand site content. There are optimizations that are done frequently. What do you think about how SEO fits into this equation?
Absolutely. I think this new campaign type is honestly Google's way of saying, hey, SEO is here to stay. So many times we've heard with AI and LLMs that, SEO is dead, SEO is going away, but actually this makes it even more important. You're really going to have to make sure that LLMs are able to crawl your website and understand what you are offering as a business. And it really changes what good SEO looks like, right? Because 5 years ago, 10 years ago, keyword stuffing was all the rage. It made sense to just kind of fluff your content and put a bunch of random keywords in there to try and rank higher. And then also doing that multiple times. But now the practice of making your website not read like AI wrote it is going to be even more important. You're going to need an actual content writer that's putting out real copy from you, from the business, that is unique to you, your brand, and your messaging. And it does change exactly what good SEO looks like. And so the timeline even shrinks a little bit. A couple of years ago, we were telling clients, you can kind of wait 6 to 8 months to start pulling in these really good organic AI search results, and organic leads rather. But now 30, 60-day windows, we can start to see the impacts of what our SEO looks like, because it's changing so much, because of how Google is crawling with their Gemini and AI overviews. The importance of making sure your website has structured content and the correct schema is just really blowing up right now.
Yeah, we know that we are preparing our clients and their ads campaigns in this way that Johnathan's talking about. And we've seen some wins with how clients are found in LLMs, and even ourselves as Rock City Digital. This has been a pretty solid lead source for us for the last 6 months as well, with being found in chat and Claude, and how our organic strategy has played into that too, so that when this AI Max transition rolls out, that might be something that we are seeing a boost for clients too that have invested in that. So that's really really exciting, but nerve-wracking as an agency and as a search professional that is changing again. But that's one thing that you can always count on Google. They will change, and then they will probably change again. So
That's right. That's right.
we hang tight, we wait, we listen, we learn, and then we figure out how we can implement. There have been some conversations that we've been in recently, Johnathan, with clients and with prospects to talk about structure of Google Ads and maybe what we're considering like some do's and don'ts when it comes to campaigns, specifically for pest control companies who have multiple locations, multiple branches. If you have one physical location in a single town, or if you have 8 branches spread across 4 states, talk to me a little bit about what budgets look like, what we can expect when it comes to optimizing and taking care of clients' budgets. How do you guys work on that?
Right. So we like to give each location its own budget, which kind of goes a little bit against the grain for some folks. There are a lot of agencies out there who have the philosophy of sharing budgets, letting Google optimize for whatever is performing best. Personally, for me and my team, we have seen it better in terms of real ROAS visibility, which is that return on ad spend, if you set that budget differently for each location. So rather than letting Google decide, hey, this is where the money needs to go, us as marketers, we're deciding, hey, this location is important. I want to put this budget here. And so we really structured ours out a lot to where we have multiple campaigns for locations and multiple campaigns per location per service as well, which goes a little bit into our secret sauce that I'm not going to totally give away on here. But yeah, when it comes to multiple locations, it's really all about making sure that you're giving enough budget to each location to make an impact where you are.
Yeah, especially if you're in a market where maybe it's a newer market, and you're entering into a brand new market, or maybe it's a market that has a more of a dense population, higher competition. Those cost per conversions are going to look a lot different than it would in a small rural town where maybe you don't have as much competition. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And I'll actually expound on that a little bit. When you have those bigger markets, so let's say like Atlanta, Nashville, and you're making it share a budget with those cities, and you also have a small little town in there. I'll give mine, like Pineville, Louisiana, for example. Shout out to the hometown. That budget is going to absolutely be eaten up by those bigger markets, because that is where the cost is. That is where the advertising dollars are going, and Google is going to think that's where you want to put most of your money at. So give the little guys, give the small towns the budget they need and deserve, and you'll start to see that ROAS get a lot higher.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So when it comes to budget for these Google Ads campaigns, what else do you recommend, or do you discourage maybe pest control owners from doing in their Google Ads campaigns on a regular basis?
Right. So when we're in peak season and we're preparing for those times when your services are going to matter most to people, when they start to see some ants or some critters crawling around in their houses, I really recommend understanding and knowing what your budget needs to be well ahead of time. So we like to look at forecasts and send those over to clients to say, hey, this year at this time, where Google is, expecting a 5% increase in conversions here, or a 10% decrease here. So here's where we need to put our money at. And we like to do that well in advance, at least 30 days, to kind of give our pest control owners an idea of how much money they should be allocating for their digital marketing spend. And so one of the big things that I highly discourage people doing is, when we are in those peak seasons, is going against what we had already discussed. Because if you're changing your budget and you're adjusting it by even 15, 20%, that can turn your campaign into what we call a learning phase. In that learning phase, will greatly disrupt any of the leads that you're getting or any kind of progress that you were starting to see, because that's Google's way of relearning what they need to be doing in order to serve your ads to the correct clients and getting you those leads. So if you're changing, if you're coming in every day, even every week, and you're saying, hey, we need to add a 30% here or to jump on this opportunity, well, that's something we should have decided and have already discussed well ahead of time, because if you're changing it that much, then Google is going to start to relearn and your ads aren't going to serve like they should.
Yeah, and we hear that quite a bit when we hear operators and managers almost think of that learning phase as like a rumor, like it's not real, or that's okay, let's crank this budget up. There's a heavy swarm in Tulsa, but the reality is like it is very real, and it will cause your ads to be served to less people because Google is still trying to learn where to put this money and who it needs to go to. So from a family owned and operated pest control company, from their standpoint, that can be tough because you really want to capture the demand that's in that market. But if you think about it from the flip side, if Orkin or Terminix came into those areas and they also threw $20,000 extra to capture that demand, that really puts you at a disadvantage too. So you're so right. It's better to plan ahead and to be strategic about it and to listen to recommendations versus just putting your foot on the gas and saying, okay, let's try to get as much as we can. It's actually going to hurt you in the short term and in the long term. And so it's best to be strategic about that too, for sure. We hope that you feel a little bit more prepared and educated on Google's AI Max transition coming up in a few weeks. We would love to connect with you if you have questions. Johnathan, tell everybody where they can find you online.
So you can find me at Johnathan Cleghorn on LinkedIn. I like to post a little bit about search every now and then also you can hit us up in our inbox at hello@rockcitydigital.com. And let us know if you want a strategy call. Kelli and I will love to connect with you and get started on making your pest control business something to leave a legacy behind.
Thank you so much for listening today. If there's an owner or operator that you think would find this episode interesting, we would love for you to pass this along to them. We will see you next time.